What's up, world? Uko here from Better Therapy Now. Welcome to lesson 2 of the Curiosity Mindset, humility as a foundation for growth. So, what we're trying to do here is embrace being wrong as a necessary step toward growth. We want to shift our perspective from protecting the ego to seeking truth. And this allows our curiosity to reach its full potential. We want to really analyze the role that our ego is playing in our lives and the way that we see the world and think, and elevate the status of curiosity. Think of curiosity as a tool, the same way that mindfulness is a tool that can help you clear your mind and help you visualize. Curiosity is a tool as long as you are mindful of its existence and the role that it's playing in how you think. So, detaching the ego from ideas, how do you do this? This is a very complicated process and requires a lot of self reflection and thought about how we think and the role that ego plays in our lives. The first step is really active listening. You have to be present with other people so that you're aware of what emotions arise when they say certain things. What sort of ideas that other people have cause an emotion reaction in you, and how do you show up, or how do your emotions show up when that happens? Next is asking yourself, how open to new ideas are you? And this is most effective if you break down your kind of thoughts, or really your maybe philosophy of everything, into different sections, right? About family, about politics, about marriage, about the future, about etc. And ask yourself how open you are, because most people just assume that they are an open person, that they're open to several different things. And it can be a huge blind spot in terms of how closed off to many ideas that they are. Conversations are very similar to competition. There is a sense of back and forth whenever you're having a competition. You want to kind of separate yourself from that. The mind's natural tendency is to fall into a certain or a sort of competition with somebody else. And that kind of breaks the cycle of being curious and really engaging with somebody else in this truth seeking venture. Next, you want to ask, since the structure of a conversation is competition, you want to ask, what is your relationship to failure? And in order to better understand that, you have to analyze what is your history of failure. The reason you want to explore your relationship and history of failure and kind of how you've reacted to past failures is because your anxiety that you sense in a conversation, the kind of natural anxiety that we might be kind of accustomed to in a conversation, that kind of tells us, okay, think of something to say, think of a more interesting story, think of a better joke. That anxiety is kind of a true fear of failure in that conversation. And that fear of failure or concern with failure in a conversation is what kind of breaks the possibility of really latching on to our curiosity and using that tool and allowing our curiosity to reach its full potential. All of this allows you to reframe your failures as opportunities. And when you reframe your failures as opportunities, then you can focus on solutions in the conversation rather than being more defensive. So in the worksheet, analyzing and challenging a belief to detach from the ego, you're going to start out by just identifying a belief. And this works best if you identify a belief that you hold most true, or the one that you think you can't really let go of or prove wrong. It's just good to challenge. I'm not saying that you're going to change the beliefs. The goal of the worksheet isn't really to change your beliefs. It's just to challenge them, and to challenge them honestly. Doing this exercise will be good because you don't have just one belief. You have several beliefs. So pick one belief that you're pretty confident you can't prove wrong. Go through all the steps of answering the different questions and analyzing that belief. And then that will prepare you to address and thoroughly analyze other beliefs that maybe you're not so attached to, or beliefs that are counterproductive, such as negative thought patterns. In step 2, you're going to analyze and reflect on where this belief came from. Like, who taught you this belief? Where did you learn this kind of idea in this belief? And when did that get kind of implemented into your life? That can take a little bit of time because you probably don't remember. Especially beliefs that are like ideological or religious or about family. A lot of these beliefs might have existed since the beginning of time, like since you were born. But you want to think about and try to identify a moment when this belief had prominence in your life. Maybe there was a time back when you were a kid or a teenager or a young adult where this belief was important to have. And you want to think back to your earliest memory where the belief actually played an important role. Next, you want to ask a couple of really important questions when it comes to the belief. One is, what role does status play in this belief? Like, If you were to change a belief, would you lose status in any sort of way? Next, how does this belief make you feel? Like, what emotions are tied to this belief? And then lastly, what role does fear play in the belief? Like, do you have this belief due to some sort of fear? Like, if your belief is, I never want to get married because all marriages end in divorce, well, what role does fear play in that? Where did you learn that? And what role does your ego play in all of that? Like, those are going to be really important questions, and that would be an excellent belief to challenge. Identifying which emotions are tied to certain beliefs will help you identify which beliefs are absolute or that you hold absolute. Absolute beliefs are a bit dangerous or risky because there's little room for exploring your curiosity or even challenging those beliefs. Beliefs like, I only agree with people who, or I can only trust people who agree with me, or if I fail, then I'm worthless. Those are beliefs that are examples of beliefs that can be absolute in people's minds. And those beliefs are obviously counterproductive. So it's good to identify those absolute beliefs so that you can kind of make a list of which beliefs you really want to explore. If there's a strong emotional reaction to a belief, then that is a sign that you need to really explore and challenge that belief the best that you can. You might want to start with a belief that you're not so emotionally attached to, just to kind of get some practice going and get used to the process. And then as you get better at challenging beliefs, go to the stronger beliefs, the beliefs that you don't think there's any way that you can change your mind about. This practice works best and is most productive with beliefs that are counterproductive. So what they call in cognitive behavioral therapy, kind of thought distortions or negative thought patterns. If you identify any of those, such as, if I fail, then I'm worthless, then those are beliefs that you really want to work on and work on changing because they're counterproductive to your progress. Overall, this worksheet is an exercise in humility. So if done honestly, it's much more productive attempt to be curious about opposite viewpoints or opposite beliefs. The worksheet allows you to practice this as many times as you want by yourself, but eventually you want to do it with other people. And this is where the art of asking better questions comes into play. And that will be the topic of the next lesson.